Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome back to the Mixing in a Home Music Studio course. In this video, we're going to talk about fades. So firstly, if you're new to my channel, new to my videos, and you like what you see, click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. So fades, again, this is probably one of the more simpler ideas, but definitely well worth covering. So when I do mixing, I like to chop up all my audio, I like to make sure everything's trimmed, all the silence is taken out, and I like to put fades at the start and end. And I'm not always talking about fades that actually go across the audio, it can just be fades in the very initial silence. It just prevents any sort of pops or clicks happening that can happen. And you know, I guess it's a bit of a over-the-top technique that I do a lot of the time. But you know, fades come in many different forms and they're used for different reasons, right? So we can obviously fade in the audio, like, you know, affect the audio. So, you know, a fade in its general concept can be a fade in or it can be a fade out. And basically a fade in, you're coming from, say, 0, so no volume, and you're slowly fading it up, let's just say in a linear fashion, if we talk about a straight fade, like a normal fade, up to a certain volume, right? It could be full volume, it could be wherever the volume is. And then a fade out is opposite, right? We're coming from full volume and we're fading out slowly over time until it gets down to 0 and you can't hear it anymore. Now, fades are not always perfectly linear. We'll have fades that might curve shape, you know, you get S-type curves, you might have sort of a bend or a bend that way, and that's going to change the sound of the fade and how it fades, whether it fades slowly at the start and then speeds up at the end, or, you know, is fast at the start and slows down near the end, however it is. But you can do all of those on the audio tracks themselves. Generally also I would use a lot of crossfades, right? So that's where we will actually join, say, 2 audio tracks together, or let's say we edited a track to cut a bit out or an error or something like that. We'll join them together and we'll do a crossfade, and it basically just fades out one audio track while it fades in the other audio track at the same time, so they blend in. Now you can also do that through various songs, right? So let's say, for instance, if you're a DJ out there and you're watching this, you'll know very well what a crossfade is, because most of you do it in clubs where you will fade between one song to the next without there being any gap. You know, you'll be slowly fading out one song while you're fading in the next song, and you know, you'll sort of hear no difference in audio coming through your speakers. They're just 2 songs just sort of basically switch over. Now, that's obviously an extreme case where you're doing 2 different songs, but in mixing, you may be doing, you know, edits and stuff like that, where you'll join them together and do a crossfade. Again, the shape of the crossfade can be different. It can be perfectly linear, so straight lines, or it could be sort of curves or S-curves, that sort of thing. It just depends on the type of crossfade. Now, where I do the technique of crossfading at the start of and end of tracks, in the silent part to stop any clicks or pops or that as the audio comes in, is not always necessary. A lot of the time it's just me being over the top, because a lot of software these days automatically do that, or they have a setting to automatically do that anyway. So, you know, check your software. If you're not someone that wants to do that and you trust your software, check it out, because a lot of the mixing software these days do have settings to automatically do a fade, you know, at the start of the end without actually showing it on the waveforms. So let's get into Cubase Pro now, and I'll show you a couple of techniques and what they look like. All right, we are in Cubase here, and to give you a practical example of fade, so let's go through some very basic ones first, right? So the basic one straight away is, as I described, if you come into your project window here and you go across to this little top corner symbol here, you'll see it changes to a side arrow. Now, if I grab that and drag it, suddenly we get a fade, and I can go as long or as short as I want. Okay, so like this is, so a set of drums, I've just got them soloed. Right, so it's just starting straight away, or I can fade it in slightly, or I can fade it in very long. Right, and that can be done obviously on a song basis. We can do the fade at many levels. We can even do it at a bus level if we wanted to, or we could do it on here at this end. Now, the other place you can do it is on the other end. So let me just, to save scrolling all the way around, let me just cut that and we'll just delete that out of the way. So imagine this is the end of the song. We've got the same concept on the end here where we can again grab the end triangle and we can fade it out as long or as short as we want. And that's the simple method to do fades in this. Okay, now the other way we can do fades is we can sort of right click here and we can, well, we've got the option to remove fades. But we can also do, for instance, there's options here. So let's just scroll that up so we make sure we get it in. So I could put the cursor there. We could scroll down here and we could go fade into cursor. And instantly it'll do a fade. I could put the cursor over here. And we could go fade out to cursor. Done. Alright, we could obviously remove the fades. Now, if we had 2 tracks, so if I sort of copy that there, if we then select both of these tracks, I can right click and I could go add a crossfade. Now you can do it with controls as well, so I could say just hit X and it will add the crossfade. Now what you can do is once you've got your crossfade there, you can adjust the width of it by just grabbing the sides and moving it around. We've got a few other settings here. If we go to the project settings here, we can go to this auto fade setting as well. And what we can do is we can tick on auto fade in, auto fade out, right? Auto crossfades, any of that sort of stuff. And we can pick the shapes, right? So we can change the shape of the fades, change the shape of the crossfades. We could auto, right? So what that should do, and I don't think it shows you, but when you put these on, it should automatically do a crossfade. Right, now I am pretty pedantic and I actually leave that off. That's just me. I like to just manually control my fades. But you can see there, you've got all those options. So we'll take that off. Alright, now the other place is in here. We can again do the crossfades and we can do those same settings that we had in the right mouse button thing. But we've also got the fade editor. Well, sorry, let's put a crossfade on and then we'll go to fade editor. Okay, now we can now change the shape. So you'll see that we can adjust anything we like. We can make it any shape we want within portion. We can even draw our fade the way we like. All right, we can get some weird fades going on. I've got some other options here. Presets, I haven't got any saved, but you know, equal power, equal gain, all these sort of options here. So you got tons of options, even to the point like these ones here. You can make it very pointy, not rounded. That rounds them. And then that one, again, I'm not sure. Damp spine interleave, okay. That one's just normal. But you've got all your predefined options there. Now, at the moment, I think they are linked. If I turn equal gain off, then what I can do is I can have different settings for the out and the in. Okay, but because I did equal gain, they'll automatically sort of match each other. And that's what you can do with those fades there. So if it wasn't a crossfade, so if I say remove crossfade, and let's just say I put a fade here. I don't think you can get to the, I'm sure there's a shortcut to get to the fade editor. I just don't know what it is. But anyway, if we go to the fade editor, you'll see it's automatically pulled it up. It's showing the waveform. Again, you got presets. It's the same thing. Just, you know, different window here. So we can do that. We can change the length so we can specify an exact length. And then we can just click apply, close that, and there you are. There's the shape that we just applied. Now, the last thing I just want to quickly show is I talked about examples of where I like to do fades in the silence parts of tracks. And this would be like an exact thing of where I do it. So if I was cleaning this up, let's say for instance, I wanted to get rid of all the silence. So I'm going to delete all that, right? I'm going to get this snare track the way it is. This is what I would do to prevent any chance of pops or clicks. I would put a fade here, and it's just in this silence part, right? So I stop before the actual drum hit, and I might put one at the end, and again we'll put it at the start and at the end. Now again, you could do that with the auto fade option, but I just like to manually do it. I can see it. I can't visually see it if it's using the auto fade, but it's all up to you what you trust. But this is what I mean by I like to do fades at the start and the end of the audio parts in the silence. So I'm not impacting the audio whatsoever. I am just making sure that there's no chance of a pop or click. Because sometimes even though you think there's silence there, it may not be true silence, especially if it's been recorded with a microphone or something. There still may be some ambience, background noise, that sort of thing. So having a cut right here could potentially create sort of a click or a pop because there is some audio there. You're just not aware of it. You know, if it come from a virtual kit or something like that, then it would be true silence. But I just like to do this just to be sure that nothing is going to impact. So there you go, that's how I do fades in Cubase. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Do you use fades? I'm assuming most people use fades every now and then. But you know, let me know what you do or you don't, or what you like about it or don't like about it, that sort of thing. Are there anything interesting you do with fades? If you need anything further explained about them, put it in the comments. I read all the comments and I'll answer as many of the comments as I possibly can, as quick as I can. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.